There's something coming in Warframe that's got a lot of players talking, and honestly, it might be one of the most interesting twists Digital Extremes has pulled in a while. It's not just another gun, not just another melee, and the way it changes your loadout is something we've never really seen before. Today we're breaking down why this new piece of gear is shaking up the conversation, and why some players are excited while others are unsure. And hey, before we jump in, don't forget to subscribe for more Warframe breakdowns and news. Hit that like button and drop a comment at the end of the video. I really want to hear your opinions about this new weapon. The Vincubus is Uriel's signature weapon, and honestly, it might be one of the coolest ideas DE has cooked up in a while. It's not your usual blade or rifle, it's both at the same time. They're calling it a bayonet-class weapon, and the whole point is simple. Shoot when you want, slash when you need to, and swap between the two without breaking your flow. No clunky animations, no weird tricks, just a weapon that keeps up with you, especially if you like playing fast and aggressive. And since it's crit-based, you already know this thing can hit like a truck once you build it right. The fun part is the way you're modded. The gun side and the melee side each get their own builds, but they share the same forma layout. So, you can't go crazy with every expensive mod. You've got to pick what matters most. Do you want a strong crit rifle setup for bursting enemies down? Or do you lean into a nasty melee build that pairs well with Uriel's fire buffing playstyle? You can even go for a hybrid setup if you're the type who likes swapping between styles in the middle of the fight. And the best thing is how naturally it fits with Uriel himself. His demons already chain enemies, boost your fire rate, and help you stay aggressive, so the Vincubus just slides right into that rhythm. You can pop enemies from a distance, rush in when the demons lock them down, and then finish everything with clean, fast slashes. It's flexible, it's stylish, and it feels like a weapon built for people who want to stay moving. If Digital Extremes nails the feel of it, Vincubus could end up being one of those weapons everyone talks about for months. But of course, the Vincubus isn't perfect. The biggest downside is that it eats up both your primary slot and your melee slot at the same time. So, if you're someone who likes bringing a specific melee weapon for heavy attacks or a favorite primary for long-range fights, you're out of luck. The moment you equip the Vincubus, you're locked into this hybrid setup, whether you like it or not. It's a cool idea, but it definitely limits your loadout freedom, especially for players who enjoy switching gear based on missions. And that limitation becomes even more noticeable in late-game content. There are missions where you really want a strong melee like a heavy-hitting hammer, or a reliable primary like an Incarnon for long-range scaling. With the Vincubus, you have to give all of that up. You can't pair it with your favorite combos, your comfort picks, or your usual DPS tools. So, while the weapon is fun and stylish, it forces a playstyle that not everyone will enjoy. It's amazing for Uriel, but outside of him, it might feel like you're giving up too much just to use one weapon. Of course, there are people in the Warframe community who are expecting something totally different. Uriel is literally the devil Warframe, so a lot of players imagined his signature weapon would be something darker, edgier, or just outright insane. And honestly, I get where they're coming from. When a frame has such a strong theme, you can't help but picture a weapon that leans all the way into that identity. I'm guilty of this myself. Before they revealed anything, my mind was already running wild with possibilities. I was imagining something like a segmented demon tail you could whip around, something that moves on its own and feels alive. Or maybe a twisted relic-type weapon with animations that react to Uriel's demons. Basically, something that looks like it crawled straight out of the void and decided to follow him around. And I'll admit, I also thought that the banner Uriel carries in the old Peace promo art was going to be the signature weapon. That thing looked iconic, and a lot of players assumed it would become a real weapon with some wild mechanics tied to his kit. So yeah, I totally understand why some folks were expecting a different direction. But even if the Vincubus wasn't what everyone pictured at first, it still ended up being something fresh, surprising, and genuinely fun. And that's kind of what Digital Extremes does best. Still, Even with those downsides, I can't lie, the Vincubus is a really cool weapon. There's something exciting about finally seeing a true 2-in-1 design in Warframe, especially one that feels this smooth. The idea that you can go from shooting to slicing without swapping weapons just feels right for Uriel's whole vibe. I'm honestly curious to see how far players can push this once we get our hands on it. I'm also really excited about how well this thing might pair with Uriel's buffs. His fire rate boost alone already makes the gun mode sound wild, but then you remember, he also has ways to keep enemies locked down and vulnerable. That means more uptime, more hits, and way more damage. And when you think about frames like Wisp jumping in, giving you even more fire rate and bonus attack speed for the melee side, yeah, this weapon is going to melt anything that moves. The synergy potential is honestly kinda crazy. And the best part is that this is the first time we've ever seen a weapon like this in Warframe. The developers didn't just make another gun or another sword, they gave us something that genuinely feels new. I love that they're still willing to take risks like this and drop unexpected ideas even after more than a decade of updates. It's stuff like the Vincubus that reminds me why this game stays fresh. Digital Extremes just keep surprising us, and I hope they never stop. One of the biggest details Digital Extremes confirmed during the stream is that the Vincubus shares the same forma layout for both its primary mode and its melee mode. That means even though you can mod each mode separately, they're still tied together by one unified polarity setup. You're basically customizing two different builds that rely on the same set of polarities underneath. It's a cool idea, but it definitely adds a layer of planning that we're not used to with normal weapons. You can still slot primary mods on the gun side and melee mods on the blade side. That part works normally. The catch is that every forma you apply affects both modes at the same time. So, if you add a polarity that benefits your primary build, that same polarity also applies to your melee build, whether you like it or not. It turns the Vincubus into a puzzle weapon, where you need to think ahead about how both sides will use the limited polarity space. And because of that, getting an optimized build for both modes aren't as simple as slapping in a few regular forma. If you want the best possible setups for both the primary and melee sides, you're going to hit situations where one side wants a different polarity than the other. This is where Omniforma becomes incredibly valuable. Omniforma lets you ignore polarity mismatches so you can run whatever mods you want without the slot penalties messing you up. For a hybrid weapon like this, it becomes almost essential. Basically, if you're the type of player who wants to min-max both sides of the Vincubus, prepare to invest more than usual. Regular forma can only take the weapon so far before one side starts feeling cramped or awkward. Omniforma lets you solve that problem cleanly by opening every slot to any mod you want. It's the price you pay for a 2-in-1 weapon. A little more cost, but a lot more flexibility once everything's set up.